Coming up on today's show.
So sometimes people have what I call a desktop sorter, which is a box that goes on your desk where we have a slot that says to pay, or they clip with a binder clip at the front of the box with your bills. Some people have a command center on a wall.
And maybe for some people who don't own a file cabinet, or maybe don't have that kind of space, they become a nice option as well.
The best part of the weekly administrative time is you always feel like you know what's happening, you know what's going on, you never lose a paper that way.
3 Filing Essentials, Part 2, today on Keeping You Organized. Hello and welcome to Keeping You Organized. In our last episode, we started out on our 3 filing essentials and ran out of time. So we want to wrap up that conversation today because filing is really important to us here at Smead, and also our new site. We're in the myorganized.life studios right now. That's our new consumer direct site. So folks, check that out if you want to get some of our products directly from us. But we're going to bring back our friend and great certified professional organizer, Ellen DeLapp from professional-organizer.com. Ellen, welcome back to Keeping You Organized.
Thank you for having me.
Great. Well, we ran out of time in our last episode, and we're only covering 3 essentials, but I think for those who maybe didn't get a chance to listen to that or watch that first episode or part 1, let's just recap the first 2 parts of this filing essentials. We started first with what was the first point?
Knowing what to keep and how long to keep it.
Very good. See, my mind almost went crazy. It's been about a week, but anyway. So knowing what to keep and what are kind of the basic essentials we talk about in that particular point.
Have a good reference, such as your accountant or lawyer, and know some online resources as well. And as always, just know what makes you feel most secure about how long and what to keep.
Right. And if people want to visit our show notes at smead.com/podcast, in part 1 of this 2-part podcast, we do list some great online resources. Also a link to Ellen's blog post about this, which is just a great one about filing essentials. So, all right. So that was number 1. Number 2, then we talked about the 2 types of files. We had, reference and archive.
And archive.
Yes. Let's talk about how we kind of deal with those and kind of the differences between the 2.
So reference files are what we commonly see in our homes. They're the pieces of paper that we access for a year or so. Archive files are what we keep for the duration. We're going to keep things like our taxes, our purchase and sale of our home, other financial documents that we want to keep for the duration. So those are things that we're keeping for the longest period of time, potentially for, so.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of covered that. We kind of covered a little bit about archiving and some of the tools, but we're going to get into our 3rd essential now, and let's set that up.
So we're going to talk about the strategies we're going to use, which for some people that really bogs them down because they want to do it right and they want to do it perfect. And what's right and perfect is what's right and perfect for you, is what I like to say. So some of us, it's the simpler the better, and some of us more detailed is better.
So now before we even start, should we just rush out to the store or go online to our myorganized.life site and buy a bunch of stuff? Or do we need to do a few things before we, do that?
As always, we need to cull out. Like
Okay.
we talked about knowing how long to keep items. For sure, we want to be sure that it's worthy of us keeping it as well. So definitely doing some eliminating before we even get started. And then kind of assessing our personal style, because each of us has a little different way that we want to deal with our filing. Even within families, sometimes partners disagree on what's the best strategy. So think about what's going to make it easiest for you to go through your paper. So some of us are just the simpler the better. I just talk about the 1 box method. There's nothing wrong with having just 1 box that's labeled for the year of 2000 whatever, and then the next year we start with the next box. And because we're usually pilers, which is a good thing, everything goes in chronologically, sort through the box as you need things throughout the year. You don't really need any super organized system All it needs to do is go directly into the box. That's the critical element, and that the box be easy to access so you can drop it right in.
Now, do you have categories within the box, though? Or are you just putting the most, is it just all chronological, or do you have maybe, several pockets or folders or however, whatever your system you're using with some labels on them?
With the box, I usually actually just use chronological, but what tends to happen is because a lot of people put their bills in, that usually goes in monthly. So it's just one series of papers just right on top of each other.
Now, would you
super simple and easy?
Would you say, like for an example of bills, would you put them in there after you paid them, and then if that's the case, where do the bills sit before they get paid?
Ooh, John, I like that. You're bringing up another section we haven't talked about yet.
Oh, okay.
I call the command center.
Ooh, okay, I like that one.
Papers go. So we could actually have a whole session on that if you want to.
Okay.
But the command center has most of the people that I work with. So that means the bills have to be front and center. So sometimes people have what I call a desktop sorter, which is a box that goes on your desk where we have a slot that says to pay, or they clip with a binder clip at the front of the box with your bills. Some people have a command center on a wall. You see a lot of these on Pinterest where they're wall pockets. So that's another place your papers could go. So absolutely, I think things that have to be actionable have to be separated out from reference and archive.
So what would be some of the categories? Do you again have some category folders in that command center? What would be some of maybe the category labels?
So I always have to do or action, whatever you want to call it. I always have to pay, which, as we know, I like to separate those out because if they get mixed in with other things, they can get forgotten. And so we want to be sure that they're on their own category. My last section is to file. Papers sit before they become filing. Now, if you set aside a time, like once a month to do your filing, that's where they move from that to file into the reference files. The other things I like to put in my command center are things that have to do with receipts, so that receipts have a certain spot to go to. I will often put in a tax section, so if you drop in the receipts throughout the year, it's easier for you to stay organized when it's tax time. I can put a slot for my husband, JQ, and if there's things that he and I need to talk about that are papers that come in, that's a slot for him. So we can really personalize the command center. It just depends on what kind of access we need to the different kinds of actionable paper.
Right. Well, that sounds like a really good system to put up. Now, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk about what are the remaining systems that we have, because I'm sure you have at least one or two more, and then we'll kind of wrap up this podcast. So we're with Ellen DeLapp, professional organizer, certified professional organizer, and the president-elect, I got that right this time, for the National Association of Professional Organizers, talking about the 3 filing essentials, and we'll be right back. Now, there's a place just for you. Life can be busy, and you still have to keep it all together. That's why you like to be organized and in control. Introducing MyOrganized.life, a special place where you can get ideas and solutions to organize what's important to you, your important papers, your important decisions, your important life events. We show you the ideas and products to stay organized in your life. See what's new. Stop by and say hello. Visit us at any time at www.myorganized.life. It's just for you. MyOrganized.life by Smead. Find us at www.myorganized.life. MyOrganized.life. We're back now and keeping you organized, trying to wrap up our second in a 2-part podcast on the 3 filing essentials, and we're into the third one. We've been talking about the strategies. Before the break, we talked about the simple one-box method, which some people like, depending on your style. And I know it's all about style. And then we also talked about the command center concept, where you have some things kind of front and center. Ellen DeLapp, certified professional organizer, welcome back. And what other strategies do we need to cover here as far as dealing with these files that we have and maybe the different styles. I mean, you probably have stories of people that just maybe the command center doesn't work for them, or maybe the simple file box doesn't work for them. What other styles are there?
So I work with a lot of very detailed people, and the basics are the 4-drawer file cabinet with the hanging file. And most people, when I come in, they're like an alphabetical system. Their files are A to Z. So I start thinking about categories with them. The categories, 1 drawer is home and auto, and 1 drawer is personal. The 4th drawer I usually save for taxes or long-term because it's the bottom drawer and it's hardest to access. So within the home and auto drawer, we have an alphabetical system that has to do with the different really specific categories, trying to be as general. So in home, we might have home repair. It might be by the name of the auto. So it's alphabetical within each drawer. In finance, we might have banking, we might have retirement, we might have investment, anything to do with money. And then in the personal drawer, we usually have the family members' names, and we have their medical, we have their schooling, we have their work, things like that. So that's a very typical system that I see set up. Some of my clients really like accordion files. I know that Smead has a lot of those. I love them. And as a result, or 13 pockets, we use them for a variety of things. Sometimes we have 1 accordion file that's financial, 1 accordion file that's home, 1 accordion file that's auto, 1 accordion file that's work. Just depends. And then within there, in each slot, we label each slot with our label maker, and we have the different categories, again, personalized to what they want to keep. Another system is notebooks. I know y'all have a lot of notebooks at Smead. Love them. They're great because people love to sit them on a shelf. They're easy to access. They are a lot less intimidating than a file cabinet. So that's another system. So I recommend just kind of taking a little browse, probably through the My Organized Life website, and checking out some of the possibilities. About a week ago, I worked with a new client, and we really organized all of her charity work, her philanthropy work, and we used one of your accordion files, and it worked beautifully. She could take it with her to whenever she had to talk to somebody about a sponsorship opportunity. Different way that you organize really empowers you to do the work you want to do. And that's what I love about working with paper.
Well, and in those expanding files, those, accordion files, like you call them, there is all kinds of different types. There's ones that actually fit in file drawers that have a file tab that pokes up through them. And there's ones with covers where you can pick them up and go to a meeting if you want. So you kind of have that portable filing system to go. So and then there's some that work well on shelves and on the desktop. So yeah, there's lots of different options there when it comes to expanding files that have that subdivision built right in. And maybe for some people who don't own a file cabinet or maybe don't have that kind of space, they become a nice option as well.
Absolutely. And I think it's just very important for you to think about what you've worked well with in the past and use that same type of system if you've found success. There's no right or wrong or perfect way to do any of these things, or no perfect product. It's really up to you. And I also want to take a minute to talk about a few documents we haven't talked about, which I call the important documents. That Smead has a great product for. That, again, you want to call out these important documents and put them where you can take them with you when an emergency occurs.
Yeah, you're referring to our Life Documents Organizer Kit, which actually we have available as 2 different versions. We have the box, so if you want to have them in a box so you can take them and go. But we also recently introduced a Life Documents Drawer Kit. So if you do have the filing drawers and you don't want the plastic box or the poly box, you can actually have the same system. And what's nice about those, it's more than just the the colorful folders and the headings, but we have a guide that goes along with it, which we call the Wheel of Organization, which really helps you kind of determine what important papers do I need to look for, and maybe some of them aren't applicable to you, but you have that reference piece there, which a lot of people seem to really like. It helps them get their mind focused on, well, what do I actually need to keep in this system as well?
Exactly. And I think a lot of times there's some things, and I'm sure this is mentioned, even things that have account numbers that you don't think that you should take with you, but are very vital once you have left your home. So yeah, I always love sharing that product with my clients because I think it gives us all, again, peace of mind,
Yeah.
which is what our goal is.
Well, another one of our expanding products, not to get into a big sales pitch here, but you talked earlier before the break about the command center, and we have the thing called the Stadium file, which is sits on your desktop and it's tiered. So it's got, it comes in a couple different sizes and number of pockets, but allows you to have a file folder in there. It's all viewable, and because it's tiered like a stadium, you can see the different headings. So it works really nice for a command center.
I have used that product quite a bit with my clients, and what they especially love about it, it sits on their desktop and they can see everything at the same time.
Yep.
So they feel really comfortable that nothing's going to get lost or forgotten, and it's easy to label, and again, a great product for helping you stay up to date with things you don't want to lose.
Now have we covered all?
Actionable.
Yeah. Have we covered all the strategic ways? We've got the single box, we've got the command center, we have the multiple drawer system. We talked about using the expanding files or the accordion files in their various ways. Any other ways that people file or strategies that we're missing?
Well, I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about just allocating some time to filing.
Okay.
As much as we hate it, we really need to keep up with it fairly regularly. It's kind of like the laundry. It's always going to be there. We're never finished, but we still have to keep up with it. So I talk about having a weekly administrative time, and that's just the time that we're, working with our command center, moving papers to our filing system, making lists. So the best part of the weekly administrative time is you always feel like you know what's happening, you know what's going on, you never lose a paper that way. And if it doesn't happen every week, if it happens weeks, you're still more on top of it. So just giving yourself a good time to get started on that, bringing a coffee or tea with you, maybe playing some music. So making it a little bit more fun, but just being sure that you're getting a weekly dose of time set aside to work with your papers.
Right, and if you're using the command system, you have the file, but some people just put it in a box and then they can go and use that time to put it in whatever system they've set up.
Exactly.
Great. Well, Ellen, I think we've covered it all, except let's promote your business, tell people how they can get a hold of you and what kind of clients you work with.
Well, thank you, John. My business is named professional-organizer.com, and I work in the greater Houston area, but I do work virtually with people throughout the country. I work primarily with ADHD individuals, and our work together is not only very engaging, but it also is very successful. So it's very important to me to make a difference with my clients. So thank you for that opportunity.
You bet. And we always enjoy having you on. If people want to go to our archive at smead.com/podcast, we have a bunch of podcasts with you. In fact, one on the ADHD, working with those kinds of clients, which is one of our more popular episodes. So Ellen, thanks again for joining us, and I'm sure we'll have you back.
Well, thank you. Have a great afternoon.
All right. Well, folks, there you have it. We've gotten through. It took us 2 episodes to do this, but we got through the 3 filing essentials, plus that 4th little tip, which is set aside that administrative time, which is so important to keep and maintain your system. And I think these are tips that everybody can use, regardless of where you are in your filing journey. But come back again. We'll have more tips and more advice for you on our next episode of Keeping You Organized.